At 1:00 a.m. on March 28, 1942, amidst a hail of enemy fire, a British destroyer packed with explosives crashed into a DOT gate at the German-occupied port of Nazaire. Within moments, elite commandos began landing to destroy enemy fortifications and deny the formidable battleship Tirpitz its last refuge. This dramatic assault was captured on film by German combat cameramen, who recorded iconic footage of the enemy troops searching the port in the aftermath of the battle, unaware that another explosive event was imminent. In early 1942, the global situation for the Allies was grim. The Germans were victorious across much of Europe, the Japanese had invaded Southeast Asia, and Singapore had fallen in February. The Americans had only just entered the conflict, and it would take several more years before the Allies could launch a significant offensive in Europe. Despite this bleak outlook, Britain was determined to strike back. However, with U-boats threatening the Atlantic and much of the Royal Navy committed elsewhere, Britain's regular army engaged in North Africa, and the RAF too small for a major bombing campaign, only one option remained: raiding. This task fell to Combined Operations, a specialized force led by the controversial Lord Louis Mountbatten. This group comprised daring commandos and skilled personnel from the Naval, Air Force, and Army, tasked with conducting raids along the Atlantic coast to tie up German troops and boost Allied morale. While 8 small raids had been carried out in 1941, 1942 would see a dramatic escalation in the scale of operations. The first challenge was selecting appropriate targets. After considering Norway and the Mediterranean, it was decided that the coast of France was the most viable location. Among the potential targets were Bayonne, Dieppe, and Nazaire, with the latter chosen due to its strategic importance. The Tirpitz a massive German battleship weighing 42,000 tons and armed with 15-inch guns, posed a significant threat. There was a real concern that if the Tirpitz left her base in Norway, she could inflict considerable damage on Atlantic convoys. The ship's size was her major vulnerability. Only one dry dock on the Atlantic coast could service her, located at Nazaire. If this dock could be put out of commission, the Tirpitz would be effectively immobilized. Returning to the wartime context of 1942, the port of Nazaire was situated on the northern side of the river Lair on the Atlantic coast. The port's entrance from the open sea was through a single deep water channel, heavily defended with coastal artillery. The dock area consisted of a forward port open to the south and 2 bays, with the southernmost bay housing large submarine pens from which German wolf packs threatened Atlantic convoys. The old town of Nazaire, adjacent to the docks, was a dense warren of workers' houses. Extending from the southern edge of the port was the old mole and lighthouse, crucial for navigation in the shallow waters. The dock area was fortified with pillboxes, anti-aircraft, and coastal gun emplacements. The Normandy Dock, at 1,150 feet long, was the largest dry dock in the world at the time, enclosed by 2 massive rolling dock gates known as *quaisons*, each weighing over 1,000 tons. These gates would be closed by electric motors, and the dock empty by a large underground pumping station. Both the quay and the pumping station were key targets for any Allied attack. Given the imprecision of aerial bombing and the impracticality of an inland attack or naval bombardment, a lightning commando raid was deemed the best approach. The plan, known as Operation Chariot, involved 2 main components: a commando landing to neutralize enemy positions, destroy vessels, bridges, dock gates, and pumping stations, and the HMS Campbeltown an outdated First World War-era American-built destroyer. The Campbeltown was to be disguised as a German destroyer, packed with over 3 tons of explosives, and rammed at full speed into the Normandy Dock gate. The goal was to disable the dock permanently. The Campbeltown was commanded by Lieutenant Commander Stephen Sam Bay, a 33-year-old Welsh-born clergyman's son and experienced destroyer captain. Accompanying the Campbeltown were various fast-raiding boats, including 12 Fairmile Bias, armed with machine guns and torpedoes, as well as 2 specialist command vessels and 4 torpedo-carrying Fairmile boats. These vessels would transport the commando raiding parties to Nazaire. Under the command of 34-year-old Commander Robert Ryder, the plan was to split the force into 2 columns. Group 1 would land and secure the extraction point at the Old Mole, while Group 2 would advance with the Campbeltown land and destroy key targets before withdrawing. The Campbeltown would then run full speed into the Normandy Dock gate, with her own group of 79 commandos tasked with neutralizing nearby anti-aircraft guns and destroying the vital pumping house before withdrawing. On the night of March 27, 1942, 19 vessels carrying 621 sailors and commandos set out from Falmouth and arrived 65 miles from Nazaire, heading towards the coast. Using the cover of fog, they made good progress until encountering the submarine HMS Sturgeon *, which guided them towards their target. A German combat camera team in Nazaire, there to film nearby U-boat pens, would soon witness a more dramatic event. By 10:30 p.m., the force had adopted its final battle formation and increased speed to 15 knots. As they approached, a group of 40 RAF Whitley bombers intermittently bombed Nazaire to distract the defenders, though the bombing had ceased by the time the raid reached its final stages. At 1:22 a.m., a single searchlight pierced through the thinning fog and illuminated the approaching flotilla, focusing on the disguised Campbeltown as it made its way toward the port. Within moments, all searchlights were trained on the columns, flooding the area with light, but no shots were fired. Until 1:28 a.m. when the approaching force was deemed hostile, chaos erupted. From the northern shore of the lair, German SOE operative Peter Nagel recalled, tracer bullets crisscrossed in a spectacular display. Enemy anti-aircraft guns on rooftops fired at us from point-blank range. My gunner, Private Francis Kelly, shot nonstop at the searchlights sweeping the port waters. The intensity was so overwhelming that no one knew what was happening. Several of our boats, made of wood and filled with petrol, exploded almost immediately. Attention quickly focused on the Campbeltown which retaliated with all its firepower. Her 8 guns unleashed streams of orange tracer shells, which intersected with the green enemy fire. The ship was surrounded by shell splashes, her own gun flashes, and the bright glare of exploding shells. Tracer rounds ricocheted off the ship, soaring into the air in all directions. As Group 1's left column began turning towards the intense fire from the Old Mole, the Campbeltown pushed forward. The relentless fire resulted in more than 34 men on deck being wounded. Stuart Chant, aboard the Campbeltown described the scene. Then came another explosion, a sound like someone banging a steel door with a sledgehammer. A shell burst beside me, leaving me dazed and deafened. As I lay there, I realized that Sant D. Davies from No. 3 Commando had been hit. He tried to get up, but I held him down by wrapping my legs around his shoulders. I noticed my left leg was wet and sticky, and my right arm was bleeding. Despite the injury, there was no pain, just discomfort. As the Campbeltown advanced into blinding light, Lieutenant Commander Bay spotted his target and ordered full speed ahead. The Campbeltown pouring out smoke, charged forward at 19 knots, slamming into the Normandy Dock gate. Her bow was ripped open and buried 36 feet into the target. Lieutenant Corin Purden described the moment. A red glowing shell passed through the wardroom but did not explode. The noise intensified as we neared the dock. Then came a jarring bump as we hit the boom, followed by a long, shuddering impact as we struck the gate. At the same time, surviving commandos from the Campbeltown jumped clear and rushed to silence nearby guns and destroy the pump house. Meanwhile, Group 1 smaller craft suffered heavily. Wooden-hulled vessels with external fuel tanks were hit, with several bursting into flames. Ralph Batterson recalled, "One motor launch, blazing fiercely, blocked our landing point. I heard the crackle of burning mahogany and smelled the acrid reek of petrol. The launch drifted, ablaze, and came to rest at the jetty, obstructing our approach. We were forced to find another landing point, but to our horror, a second motor launch appeared, drifting like a fireball. The petrol tank of this launch exploded, spreading flames into the water around us. The heat was nearly unbearable. Bodies floated in the burning water, horribly mutilated by explosions or flames. I saw men burned alive by the petrol while others sank into the bloody foam of their wounds, with the screams of the dying overshadowing the gunfire and the fiery glare lighting up the harbor. It was a scene ripped straight from a nightmare, but this time we were inside it, facing the imminent threat of being engulfed by the blazing launches on either side. Despite valiant efforts, the devastation wrought by German 20mm guns firing at point-blank range was overwhelming. Every vessel attempting to land at the Old Mole was either burned, sunk, or driven away, with substantial loss of life. The raiders' escape route was left firmly in German hands. The men of Group 2 fared only slightly better. Under heavy fire, several groups managed to land and approached their targets around the port, unaware that there was now no way to return. Meanwhile, the commandos from the Campbeltown had found the pump house and, working by torchlight, descended underground to plant their charges. Under Stuart Chant's leadership, they placed 40 charges on the pump impellers, ignited the fuses, and raced to the surface. The last man reached safety just before a deafening explosion wrecked the pump house. With their mission accomplished, Chant and his team, along with other parties from Group 2, began their withdrawal along the roadway toward the Old Mole. Visiting this site today offers a vivid experience of the action, as the port remains largely unchanged. For those interested, check out our upcoming on-the-ground tour with classic battlefield tours for more information. Major Bill Copeland, observing the scene, described the Old Mole up close. Nearby, the shells from burned-out motor launches still glowed red on the river. Behind them, a sea of burning petrol seemed suspended in midair, with shells and tracer fire of all kinds cutting through it. Some shells exploded with a futile crack in the air. The commandos now faced a desperate last stand. With their ammunition running low, their only chance of survival was to cross the bridge leading to the old town of Nazaire and the open countryside beyond. Surrounded by the enemy on three sides, they stormed the bridge, covering their advance with Thompson machine guns and grenades. Fighting continued for several hours in the streets and houses of Nazaire, but eventually, most of the commandos, bloodied, exhausted, and out of ammunition, were captured. This moment was captured in powerful scenes filmed by German cameramen on the ground. Meanwhile, back in the lair, the situation was equally grim. The remaining motor launches limped out to sea towards their destroyer escorts. The diminished flotilla, now filled with wounded, turned for home, reaching Falmouth the following day. However, one final vessel, NL 306 did not make it. After surviving the initial assault, it encountered the German corvette Jaguar at 5:30 a.m. The Jaguar towering over the motor launch, called for surrender. The response from NL 306 was a fierce defense, but the German ship's superior firepower quickly overwhelmed them. Sergeant Tom Durant, having emptied his Bren gun, manned the twin Lewis gun until he was killed, his body riddled with bullets. On shore the following morning, German troops swarmed the port, and the news team captured haunting images of the wounded raiders. Among them was Tom McCormick of No. 2 Commandos, who would succumb to his wounds within a fortnight. German newsreels of the aftermath portrayed the raid as a futile operation with heavy enemy losses and no success. Yet the raid's true impact revealed itself later. At 11:45 a.m., the Campbeltown finally exploded, 5 hours behind schedule. The enormous blast shattered the dry dock and destroyed the dock gates. Of the 621 men who left Falmouth on Operation Chariot, 382, 62%, became casualties, with 169 making the ultimate sacrifice. Many of these men are buried nearby at Escoblat-La-Balle Commonwealth War Cemetery, including Sergeant Tom Durant, who was awarded the Victoria Cross based on the admiration of the German captain of the Jaguar. The success of Operation Chariot has long been debated, but it undeniably achieved its objectives. The Normandy Dock was destroyed and remained inoperable for the rest of the war, and the raid shook enemy morale. Despite the heavy losses, the raid was recognized at home, with Bay, the commander of the Campbeltown, and 4 other men earning the Victoria Cross for their roles. Perhaps the true achievement of Operation Chariot lies not just in the raid's immediate results but in the message it sent. As long as Europe remained under Nazi control, there were men willing to fight and die for its liberation. Thank you for watching. If you're interested in visiting these historic sites and walking in the footsteps of the Commandos, consider joining me on a live battlefield tour in May. We'll explore Operation Chariot, the Normandy battlefields, and the infamous Deep Parade, among others. For more information, check out Classic Battlefield Tours for the itinerary and details on upcoming tours. Special thanks to WOW Buildings for the excellent 3D model used in this film. Operation Chariot, the daring raid on the port of Nazaire, stands as a testament to the audacity and resolve of the Allied forces during World War II. Launched on the night of March 27 to 28, 1942, the operation aimed to neutralize the Normandy Dock, the only facility capable of servicing the German battleship Tirpitz, which was a significant threat to Allied convoys. The raid, led by a mixed force of Royal Navy personnel, Commandos, and support vessels, involved a bold and risky plan. The Campbeltown, a destroyer disguised as a German ship, was packed with explosives and rammed into the dock gate, causing a massive explosion that rendered the dock unusable for the remainder of the war. Alongside this, commando units conducted a fierce assault on port defenses and key installations, enduring heavy casualties and intense enemy fire. Despite the high cost, with 382 of the 621 men becoming casualties, the raid achieved its primary objective. The destruction of the Normandy Dock prevented the Tirpitz from threatening Allied shipping and significantly disrupted German naval operations. The raid not only impacted German morale, but also demonstrated the Allies' capability to strike at the heart of enemy fortifications, even amidst challenging conditions. Operation Chariot's legacy endures through its strategic success and the bravery of its participants. The operation received recognition for its heroism, with several awards, including the Victoria Cross, bestowed upon those who exhibited extraordinary courage. It also served as a powerful symbol of the Allies' determination to fight and persevere against overwhelming odds. Today, the port of Nazaire remains a poignant site of historical interest, where the events of Operation Chariot are remembered and studied. The raid is a vivid reminder of the sacrifices made and the resilience shown by those who fought for freedom. The operation's impact was felt long beyond the immediate aftermath, shaping the course of the war and leaving an indelible mark on military history.